Have you ever mourned a relationship that hadn't even ended? The person was still there. They still replied. They still cared, but something felt different. And somehow, your mind had already started preparing for goodbye. You're not crazy. Your brain has a superpower. It's just aimed at the wrong target. You've probably been told you're too sensitive, that you overthink. But here's what's actually happening. Your brain isn't afraid of people leaving. It's afraid of uncertainty. Think about it. If someone says, "I'm busy today," most people hear exactly that. Someone with anxious attachment hears, "They're becoming distant." One sentence, two completely different realities. Here's something most people never realize. Your suffering often begins before anything has actually happened. The uncertainty becomes the pain. It's why you keep checking your phone. Read old chats, notice tiny changes in someone's tone, count the hours since they replied. You aren't searching for attention. You're searching for certainty, and certainty is addictive. The moment they finally reply, your body relaxes. Not because the relationship changed, because the uncertainty ended. But here's the problem. That relief rarely lasts. A few hours later, your mind starts looking for the next sign. Almost like it's saying, "Okay, what if something is wrong now?" Which brings us to something even stranger. What if I told you people with anxious attachment are often exceptionally good at noticing emotional changes and exceptionally bad at interpreting them? Imagine walking into a room. You instantly notice your friend smiled less today. Your manager skipped saying good morning. You noticed everything. Most people didn't. This isn't because you're dramatic. Your brain became incredibly skilled at spotting tiny emotional shifts. Psychologists describe this as hypervigilance, a state where the brain constantly scans for signs of possible social danger. It's almost like living with a smoke detector. That goes off every time someone burns toast. The detector works, it's just too sensitive. And here's the tragedy. You usually trust the alarm without checking if there's actually a fire. So your mind fills in the blanks. They're annoyed. They're disappointed. They're pulling away. But reality rarely gives us complete information. So the anxious brain does what human brains do best. It tells stories. There's an old philosophical idea. We don't react to reality. We react to the meaning we give reality. Two people receive the exact same message. Seen? One shrugs and continues their day. The other spends the next 3 hours wondering if the friendship is over. Same message, different story. And the story feels so real that your body reacts as if it's already true. But here's where anxious attachment becomes almost invisible. It doesn't just change how you think, it changes who you become around other people. You slowly become the relationship manager. You start carrying responsibilities that were never yours. You apologize first, even when you're not wrong. You check if everyone is okay. You remember birthdays. You plan meetups. You keep conversations alive. You send the second text, then the third. At first, this looks like kindness. Sometimes it genuinely is, but sometimes it's fear wearing the mask of kindness. Because deep down, a quiet belief whispers, "If I become useful enough, maybe people won't leave." This doesn't happen only in romantic relationships. Maybe your father sounds tired on the phone. You immediately ask, "Did I do something?" Your boss says, "We'll discuss this tomorrow." You don't sleep well that night. Your sibling forgets to invite you somewhere. Instead of thinking, "They probably forgot," your mind says, "They don't enjoy being with me anymore." Notice the pattern? Different people, different situations, the same fear. The brain keeps asking one question: am I still emotionally safe with this person? And here's something fascinating. People with anxious attachment often become incredibly empathetic. They notice emotions others completely miss. But because they're always scanning for danger, they often confuse discomfort with rejection. It's like constantly checking the weather. Eventually, every cloud starts looking like a storm. But if reassurance helps, why doesn't it actually solve the problem? Imagine you're thirsty. Someone gives you one sip of water. It helps for a while. But if you're walking through a desert, one sip won't change the journey. Reassurance works the same way. Your partner says, "No, I'm not upset." Your friend says, "Of course we're okay." You immediately feel lighter. Then, a day later, they reply a little later than usual, and suddenly, your mind starts all over again. Why? Because reassurance answers one moment. It doesn't rewrite the expectation your nervous system has been carrying for years. This is why anxious attachment isn't a logic problem. It's a safety problem. You don't just need evidence that people love you. You need your body to believe you're safe, even when certainty disappears. That's a very different kind of healing. And here's one of the least talked about truths. Many people with anxious attachment aren't afraid of being alone. They're afraid of becoming emotionally invisible, not being chosen, not being remembered, not crossing someone's mind. That's why being ignored often hurts more than being criticized. Criticism still means someone sees you. Silence feels like disappearing. Our mind is constantly interpreting the world, sometimes wisely, sometimes fearfully. Anxious attachment doesn't mean you're too much. It means your mind learned long ago that closeness could disappear without warning. So now it tries to predict loss before loss has a chance to happen. But relationships aren't built by predicting every ending. They're built by being present enough to experience the middle. Maybe the goal isn't to stop caring. Maybe it's to stop treating uncertainty as proof that something is wrong. Because sometimes a late reply is just a late reply. A quiet friend is just tired. And love doesn't always need to announce itself to still be there. If today's video felt uncomfortably familiar, don't worry. Attachment styles aren't life sentences, they're patterns, and patterns can change. The first step isn't becoming less caring, it's becoming more aware of the stories your mind tells before reality has a chance to speak. If this video helped you understand yourself a little better, share it with someone who always says, I'm probably just overthinking. They might not be overthinking. They might simply have a nervous system that's been trying to protect them all along. And in the next video, we'll explore the avoidant attachment style, why some people pull away the moment relationships become too close and what they're actually protecting.